Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm joined by my editor today. Say hi, peasant.
Hi.
We're both wearing green and we both look lovely in this British summer. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm here to talk to you about Feral Druid changes that are coming in. We've got more changes. Blizzard won't stop adding things, bringing things in, buffing us. Which is fantastic. We want to see it. There have been a few things. Some tier set changes, some general Feral Druid tuning, talent tuning, and then also just some healing changes that are affecting every single class and spec in the game. So a few things to kind of cover here, generally speaking. So I just wanted to make a quick little video update. So Blizzard are tuning the health and damage of mobs. We've decided to increase both player stamina and enemy damage by 25% in Embers of Neltharion, so 10.1. This is very much like an adjustment that was made just before the launch of Dragonflight, and it's for the same reasons. So it's to do with healing, tuning, and stuff like that, but overall, I think this is going to be quite significant for specs that are quite good at off-healing already, because it just makes us that bit more powerful, I guess. I guess it's all relative, because they're also tuning mob damage up and stuff as well, but, you know, okay, alright, so there's things going to be adjusting here. One thing to note is that Nature's Vigil is not being adjusted, so that's actually kind of awkward, because Nature's Vigil is very, very good, and it's what we do the bulk of our healing with in Mythic Plus, generally speaking. In Raid, Regrowth buff will be very nice. That'll be the majority of where our healing probably comes from in Raid, I would imagine. So yeah, that's quite good there. Now in terms of tier set changes, so they've added a note here. So feral damage is a little lower than we like after the shift of power away from Berserk, Frenzy, and which is Frenzy banned. And sorry, this isn't tier set changes. This is just general damage breakdown. And the Berserk redesign in Embers of Neltharion. We're happy with the relative values of Feral's builders, so we're adding a bit more to their overall damage, with some extra for Lunar Inspiration. We're also reversing some of the 10.0.5 damage reduction to Rip to increase its value in single target, but reducing the value of Tear Open Wounds to keep Rip's contribution to AoE about the same. This makes sense, right? They're happy with the relative damage of our generators, or our builders, relative to each other. I suppose is what they're saying here, but they want them to do a little bit more overall damage just to give us a little bit of a buff. They're also going to increase the damage of Rip on single target, and this is a big talking point for me on stream where I say, like, you know, people say, well, Sai, how would you buff our single target for Raid? And I say, well, it's really hard, because if you buff Bite, that's also going to impact AoE. If you buff Rip, that's also going to impact AoE. Everything is like, everything apart from Shred is going to have an impact in AoE and single target. So it is quite difficult unless you do something like this. You have to adjust things like Tear Open Wound damage or yeah, like Primal Wrath tuning or something like that. Like you have to mess with those kinds of knobs there, and then increase the damage of Rip in a single target scenario. So that's what they're doing here. So they're increasing Shred, Rake, Swipe, Brutal Slash, and Thrash damage by 2%. It's not a massive amount, but I guess it adds up. You know, it all adds up. Increases Lunar Inspiration damage by 5%. Hopefully, for me, this would make Lunar Inspiration like an actual choice and something worth using in Raid specifically. In Mythic Plus, I do quite like Lunar Inspiration, but I don't really see it being like feasible, really. Maybe in something like Court of Stars, where it's quite single target heavy, you could maybe squeeze it in if the damage was good enough, if it made sense to. But generally speaking, you don't really do that. But I like the idea of Lunar Inspiration being good in Raid, more dots, more things to uphold, you know, kind of keep moving, keep going. I like that. We like the spinny plates idea for me personally, so I'd be happy with that. I don't know if this is enough. I mean, I'm not a theory crafter, so I've not been able to see the numbers and see if this is enough to make it actually relevant or not, but I would imagine it's at least, you know, getting very, very close to that. Then you have tier set changes here. So they've just adjusting the 2 set here, where Shadows of the Predator's duration is being increased to 25 seconds. It was 20 seconds. And when an application reset stacks, duration is reset to 25 seconds. So they're basically adding, if I show you here, when you get your stacks building up, they're basically going to make it so that you have 25-second duration on these, and it is reset with additional stacks adding on. So it's you know, going to be constantly updated to 25 seconds, and then when it breaks, right? Look for it here. It's going to break soon because of the 4-set activation. When it happens, 7 stacks. I mean, this is pretty good. This is a good one. Shame I'm not logging, huh? This is a good one. 9 stacks. Look at this intense gameplay. Oh, so much damage increase. 11 stacks? I mean, this is actually pretty sick. Okay, there we go. So it breaks, it resets, goes down to 2, and then it resets to 25 seconds. So That's cool. I mean, for me, that doesn't really make a big impact. I don't really see the 20 seconds being kind of consumed anyway. I guess if there's fights with heavy movement or something, you got to stop attacking for a little bit. It means you can maintain your stacks for longer. I don't really see massively what the point of this was necessarily, but okay, sure. Thrashing Claws, shred damage bonus reduced to 5%, was 8%, so this is this talent here. I'm glad this is getting nerfed because I don't like it. It's cool if you're new to Feral or want a very simplistic playstyle. I'm happy for this to exist. I think it's quite good that it does exist. I just really don't want it to be, like, good. I want it to be very... I want you to be kind of punished for taking the easier route. Or at least not rewarded for taking the easier route, right? So I don't want this to be too strong, so I'm happy with that. Dreadful Bleeding Rip damage bonus increased to 18%, was 15%, so this is this talent here. So they're just buffing the damage of Rip, which this will have an impact on single target and AoE, but this is where they're then reducing the damage of Tear Open Wound, or Tear Open Wound's damage conversion rate reduced to 60%, was 70%. Tear Open Wound, so they're reducing the amount of damage that consuming your Tear Open Wound rips is going to do, or going to have. So you are going to lose some damage in AoE, I suppose. You know, you are going to be losing some. You are going to get a slight buff here from that, so that, you know, they're going to be evening out a little bit. But yeah, overall, it is going to be a nerf to our AoE rip damage. I think fundamentally it should still be okay. Like, this isn't the death of Feral or anything like that. Our damage is still pretty bonkers in AoE. Like, we're still very good. In terms of 10.1 in general, right? Like, if these are the only changes now, because the patch hits in, like, 2 weeks. If these are the only changes that we're going to get, I think, generally speaking, I think we're going to be roughly the same as we are now in 10.0 or 10.0.7. Our AoE is going to be great, but not probably, like, necessarily the BIS AoE, but it's going to be really good. Our single target's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to shine. I don't think I've seen anything so far that's really making our single target, like, fantastic. So I think single target might still be a struggle. I have heard rumors from people that Feral and raid testing has been doing quite well in a very heavy single target raid environment, and it has actually been performing quite well. I can't confirm that, but that's what I've heard. I do want to kind of delve into that a little bit more and be able to check some of that out. But yeah, I don't think our single target is going to be, like, top tier. We'll probably still lose our spots to Boomkin. And then when our play style, I think generally is just going to get a bit worse because of the tier set. So single target is going to be roughly the same, maybe a little bit better. Our AoE is going to be roughly the same, maybe a little bit worse. And then our playstyle is going to be, in my opinion, made a little bit worse. Things I still want to see Blizzard do is please, please, please update this UI for when you have Berserk and you're overcapping on combo points. I would love to see some kind of identification here that, hey, I'm overcapped right now, but by how much? I would love to see them do that. You have... You know, you have a buff here in the top right corner, so you can just use a weak aura, but I really don't think that that's fair. I think that it is your responsibility as a developer that if you are going to implement something like this that is going to have an impact on the way in which a spec is going to be monitored, like its playstyle is going to be monitored, you have to have the responsibility as the developer to aid the player in that. And yeah, okay, you just get a week, or sure, you can subscribe to your favorite streamer and get that package, but like, I just don't think that that's a good way of doing things. If you're going to make a change like this to Feral, I think that you should have the responsibility to update the UI. Apart from that, you know, the tier set, again, I've made myself clear on that. I've made my opinion clear. You can go check it out in my previous video that I made, by all means, if you want to see how I feel about it. But generally speaking, I'm going to be playing Feral going into the new patch, and I'm also going to be playing a lot of Guardian Druid, but mainly Feral, and yeah, we'll just kind of see how we go, see how we perform. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoy the updates. Let me know what you think about the new buffs and stuff coming in for Feral.